We all like a challenge when it comes to video games. That sense of achievement that one gets from trouncing a particularly difficult boss or finally seeing the end of a long and brutal campaign is pretty much unequaled, as here you're not just beating the game, but also you're pushing your reactions, decision making and logic skills to their limits. That being said, there are probably some challenges that we should definitely avoid, such as hard modes that are utterly brutal. So let's take a look at them. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 8 impossible video game hard modes you must avoid.
Hello everyone, Josh from WhatCulture here, and we're absolutely delighted to say that today's video is sponsored by Biomutant, so strap in. Biomutant is the long-awaited open-world post-apocalyptic RPG from Experiment 101 and THQ Nordic that combines aggressive martial arts-styled combat with a unique system that allows you to recode your own genetic structure as you progress. What that means is you're totally free to evolve your character's look and attributes to match your own playstyle. Plus, exposure to the world's biocontamination can trigger all sorts of wild mutations like turtle form and mucus bubble. If that's still not enough, you can get yourself a satisfying dose of radioactivity, Spider-Man style, to unlock psi mutations like telekinesis, levitation, and who knows what else. Or don't do any of that, I'm not in charge of you, it's your adventure after all. The evolution doesn't stop there either though, as you'll have to kit yourself out with the right mix of gear to navigate the stunning realms of the new world. Whether you're taking a trip to the dead zone, venturing into the game's cryonic areas, or just squaring up against the biocontaminated creatures that want to emphatically ruin your day, you'll need to go prepared. All of this and so much more means it's easily one of the year's most anticipated releases, and Biomutant arrives on May 25th for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One.
Number 8. Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD, Hero Mode and Ganondorf Amiibo Mode. Now you might look at the game in question here with this entry and feel your chest puff out with pride, as while completing Twilight Princess on Hero Mode is indeed a rough challenge, it's an altogether doable one. However, before you start digging around the attic for a green tunic and your replica Master Sword to declare yourself the true hero of time, maybe try going one more round on Hero Mode, but this time with the Ganondorf Amiibo enabled as well. For those not in the know, Hero Mode sees enemies in the game deal double the amount of normal damage, and also acts as a real test for experienced players by also removing heart drops from the game and even flipping the in-game map to really confuse you. The Ganondorf Amiibo, when used in conjunction with the HD version of Twilight Princess, again doubles the amount of damage that you receive from enemies, meaning that when you take on this self-imposed challenge, you'll be taking 4 times the amount of pain as you would normally. As you can imagine, this makes even the smallest enemy a huge threat, and in groups, it's easy to be overwhelmed and downed in a deluge of self-inflicted punishment. Ouch. Number 7. DMC Devil May Cry Gods Must Die Mode. Now, a lot has been said about the sheer brutality of the Devil May Cry game's love affair with difficulty modes. For example, a few of the titles have this wonderful little bastard known as Heaven and Hell mode, in which both Dante and any enemy in the game die in just one hit, which provides hours of air quotes fun when you pie off a usually tough boss and then get locked for hours in a room filled with formerly basic enemies. Even worse than this though is the Hell and Hell mode, which takes the one-hit wonder gimmick of the previous mode, but now it only applies to Dante, meaning that he'll go down in just one hit, but will have to work his arse off to even make a dent in the forces going up against him. However, in between these charming blighters is a mode called Gods Must Die, which arguably can become even harder than these 2 blistering challenges. Now, this was only available in the definitive version of DMC Devil May Cry, a game so notorious that they named it twice. Here, enemies have been hitting the steroids harder than a WWE pre-drugs trial, spawning all of them in their devil trigger state, meaning that they now move quicker than a greasy whippet and hit harder than your parents' divorce. Making matters even worse is that this mode removes all items, including health orbs, from the game, so it's down to your skills, patience, and skin on your thumbs to make it through this one. Good luck. Number 6. Ninja Gaiden Black Master Ninja Mode. Right, so I think that somebody needs to go and have a word with the developers of the Ninja Gaiden franchise. Has anyone actually told them that people should actually be able to complete their titles? Throughout this franchise, you can find a myriad of moments that are so crushingly difficult that even the normal modes act as the other game's very hard ones. From the original's insistence of spawning enemies off-screen at all times to knock you into insta-kill pits, to the more recent entries throwing you into rooms of deadly assassins and letting them kick the utter piss out of you, saying that Ninja Gaiden games are hard is like saying that the blob from X-Men is slightly rotund. However, things get worse when you explore the abysmally hard Master Ninja mode on Ninja Gaiden Black. Now bear in mind, Ninja Gaiden Black was itself a retweaked version of Ninja Gaiden made even harder for original Xbox players, and so adding in an ultra-hard mode on top of this is a bit of an overkill. Late game enemies appear right away, and you have the constitution of a bloody iron lung patient, and your item satchel clearly has a hole in it because you lose items going between levels. In fact, this was so hard that under 1,000 people have ever made it onto the Master Ninja leaderboard while it was active, and bear in mind, in order to get onto this board, all you had to do was beat the game on this mode. Brutal. Number 5. Suspended. Impossible mode. Okay, let's lighten the mood a little here, as all of these beatdowns are taking the toll on my psyche. So instead, let's talk about the sun exploding. Well, I'll back up and explain. Suspended is a text-based adventure game which sees your character locked into a machine like a human battery and is then tasked with managing different systems and elements of a settlement in space. Problems begin to surface immediately when the machine that you're in malfunctions and can only focus on one area at a time, turning every choice you make into a spinning plate scenario. Adding to the stress is also the knowledge that the previous human occupant of the machine is coming to kill you and is destroying your robot helpers in the process. Now, if that wasn't stressful enough for you, then try playing the game on impossible mode, in which after about 4 or 5 turns of everything going wrong, the sun explodes, wiping out all known life in the galaxy. It's quite literally impossible to complete this, but for its sheer lunacy, I had to include it here. Number 4. The Wonderful 101. 101% hard. The utterly charming and brilliantly addictive Wonderful 101 is a true joy to play. However, it can become extremely challenging at a moment's notice as you're forced to balance the placement of your team with generating weapons through drawing them in order to fend off the minions of evil. Still, a regular playthrough of this shouldn't be too much of a challenge, which is what makes the 101% hard mode seem like a difficulty spike that you can bloody well impale yourself on, such as its sharpness. Enemies get a massive boost to their durability and damage dealing. But the really challenging part is that now when you enter the Wonderline mode to generate weapons, time carries on as normal. Usually the action slows to a crawl so that you can maneuver your team into position, but here you get no such safety net, meaning that you're going to have lightning quick reflexes and pick the perfect moments to draw your weapons if you're to come out on top. Number 3. FZero for the SNES. Master Mode. The FZero games are well known for their ludicrous speed and the difficulties of winning races that comes with this. You might literally grind your fingers to dust before completing some of the challenges in the later X and GX offerings. Seriously, they were that hard in places. However, it's not like the original title was a slouch when it came to breaking sound barriers and players' limits, as the unlockable Master Mode was a nightmare that even sadomasochists would give a wide berth. Here, even the regular or stock racer AI was dialed up to maximum and turned them from being just another obstacle to speed past into genuine competitors. Such was the accuracy and course knowledge that you'd need to beat these opponents that it was genuinely worth restarting if you suffered more than a few bumps of the barricades. And to really hammer the point home, some fans of the game actually dug into the code and found out that completing Master Mode was literally impossible if you selected certain racers. Even with a perfect tool-assisted run, they found that it was impossible to generate the speeds needed to beat the game's crushing AI racers. Imagine finding this out the hard way. Number 2. Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed. S-Class Mode. Now, when you look at the likes of FZero, you might actually understand why they have such a notorious reputation. After all, as I've just expressed, they were unrelenting when it came to abusing their players with speed and sidewinding tracks. But Sonic? No, surely not. He's a mascot for the wee kiddies. He'd never crush us under his soap shoes, right? Wrong, because it turns out that the S-Class of the almighty and severely underrated Sonic All-Stars Racing Transformed is an all-you-can-eat buffet of pain. Here, even a single mistake will doom a race, meaning that you'll literally need to race perfectly on each and every track and master every single boost option available to you. And trust me, mistakes will be made, as the action here is at Spaceball's ludicrous speed levels. And helping you make said mistakes will be the AI, which is utterly ruthless, going from simply pottering along to actively ramming you off stages and hitting you with every single item in their arsenal. What was once a jolly nostalgia romp through Sega's golden fields becomes a fight for survival in an apocalyptic wasteland. Sonic is indeed fast, but clearly even he can't outrun death. And number 1, XCOM Enemy Unknown Classic Mode with second wave mutations. How can you talk about difficulty modes and not include the horror show that is the XCOM franchise? From their very beginning, the devs made their intentions known, and that was that they clearly hate humanity so much because they wanted to eradicate it and all hope of mankind itself from bloody existence. Every move would see your squad get cut down by aliens with superior weaponry, and while the series did indeed tone down a lot of this for the eventual reboot of the franchise, it wasn't long before it was back to its old tricks. For example, the game comes bundled with an Iron Man mode, which disables the ability to reload saves should things not go your way. Here, you've got to live with each and every agonizing defeat, which on the higher difficulties was pretty commonplace. Yet this is but a walk in the park compared to the outrageous second wave mutations, which were added into the game to provide even more of a challenge. Depending on what difficulty you were playing on, you could enable such charming features, such as Elerium, which is a precious resource of the game, degrading over time, or losing all equipment that was attached to a soldier should they fall in battle. Even seemingly small features such as decreasing the rate of recruits being able to use psionic powers have a huge impact on the game, and fans have often wondered whether turning on certain combos of these second wave options would actually make the game literally impossible. However, to a true XCOM fan, there is no such thing as impossible. Just another day at the office. Dark Souls, that can lick our boots. And there we go, my friends. Those were 8 impossible video game hard modes you must avoid. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on Twitter at RetroJ with a 0, or you can swing by Live and Let's Dice. That's Dice with a C, where I do all of my streaming outside of work. And it'd be great to see you over there, my friends. But before I go, I just want to say one thing. Sometimes life indeed can be crushingly hard, but you should never give up, my friend. You should never turn away from the battle. But what you should do, however, is try and give yourself a bit of perspective. Take a step back from what's going on in your life and take a look at things. You might realize that your energies are best spent elsewhere. You might find that your strengths lie in a different field, and sometimes you might notice when you need to ask for help, and there is no shame in that whatsoever. Treat yourself with love and respect because you bloody well deserve it, alright? As always, I have been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.